Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome to today's reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Lila, chapter number 2, Chastisement of Junior Haridāsa. Verse number 63, we'll be continuing our reading from Mukam Karoti Vachalam, Pangum Langhaite Girim, Yat Kripatam Vambante Shri Gurum Deen Tarinam, Parmananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram, Hari Om Tat Sat. आनंदे विह्वल प्रद्युम्न पड़े अश्रुधार, हाहा की बा कर बली करये फुटकार. Pradyumna Brahmachari was overwhelmed by transcendental ecstasy upon seeing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eating everything. Thus tears flowed from his eyes. Nevertheless, he expressed dismay, saying, "Alas, alas, my dear Lord, what are you doing? You are eating everyone's food." Verse 64, Jagannathe tomaya ekya khao tandra bhoga nirsimhera bhoga kena kara upyog. My dear Lord, you are one with Jagannath, therefore I have no objection to you eating his offering. But why are you touching the offering wall, Lord Nrsimhadev? Verse 65, Nrsimhera haila jani aji upavas thakur upavasi rahe jiye kaiche das. I think that Nrsimhadev could not eat anything today and therefore he is fasting. If the master fasts, how can the servant live? Verse 66, Bhojan dekhi yadyapi tandra hriday ullas Nrsimha lakshya kari bahye kichu kare dukhabhas. Although Nrsimha Brahmachari felt jubilation within his heart to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu eating everything for the sake of Lord Nrsimhadev, he externally expressed disappointment. Verse 67, Swayam Bhagwan Krishna Chaitanya Gosani Jagannath Nrsimha Saha Kichu Bheda Nai. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, therefore there is no difference between him, Lord Jagannath, and Lord Nrsimhadev. Verse 68, Iha jani bare pradyumnera gudha haita mana taha dekhaila prabhu kariya bhojana. Pradyumna Brahmachari was deeply eager to understand this fact, therefore Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu revealed it to him by a practical demonstration. Verse 69, Bhojan kariya prabhu gela panihati santosha paila dekhi vyanjan paripati. After eating all the offerings, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu started for Panihati. There he was greatly satisfied to see the different varieties of vegetables prepared in the house of Raghav. Verse 70, Shivananda kahe kena karha futkar tenha kahe dekh tomar prabhura vyavhar. Shivananda said to Nrsimhanand, why are you expressing dismay? Purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nrsimhananda replied, just see the behavior of your Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse 71, Teen janar bhog tenho ekela khaila Jagannath Nrsimha Upavasi haila. He alone has eaten the offerings for all three deities. Because of this, both Jagannath and Nrsimhadev remain fasting. Verse 72, Shuni Shivanande Rachitte Haila Samshaya Kiba Prema Veshe Kahe Kiba Satyahaya. When Shivanand Sain heard this statement, he was unsure whether Nrsimhananda Brahmachari was speaking that way because of ecstatic love or because it was actually a fact. Verse 73, Tabe Shivanande Kichu Kahe Brahmachari Samagri An Nrsimha Lagi Punah Pak Kari. When Shivanand Sen was thus perplexed, Nrsimhananda Brahmachari said to him, bring more food, let me cook again for Lord Nrsimhadev. Verse 74, Tabe Shivananda Bhoga Samagri Anila Pak Kari Nrsimhera Bhoga Lagaila. Then Shivanand Sen again brought the ingredients with which to cook, with Pradyumna Brahmachari again cooked and offered the food to Nrsimhadev. Verse 75, वर्षांतरे शिवानंद लेना भक्त गण नीलाचले देखे ये न याना प्रभुरा charan. The next day Shivanand went to Jagannath Puri with all other devotees to see the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse 76. एक दिन सभाते प्रभु बात चलाइला नृसिंहांदेर guna kahite lagila. One day, in the presence of all the devotees, the Lord raised these topics concerning Nrisimhadev Brahmachari and praised his transcendental qualities. Verse 77. Gatavarsh paushe more karaila bhojana kabhu nahi khai aiche mishtan vyanjan. The Lord said, last year in the month of Paush, when Nrsimhanand gave me varieties of sweetmeats and vegetables to eat, they were so good that I felt I had never before eaten such preparations. Verse 78. Shuni bhakta gana mane ascharya manila Shivanandera mane tabe pratyaya janmila. Hearing this, all the devotees were struck with wonder, and Shivanand became confident that the incident was true. Verse 79. Emata shachi grihe satata bhojana Shrivasera grihe karena kirtan darshana. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to eat at the temple of Shachimata every day and also visit the house of Srivas Thakur when Kirtan was performed. Verse 80. Nityanandera nritya dekhena Asi bare bare nirantar avirbhav raghaver ghare. Similarly, he was always present when Nityanand Prabhu danced, and he regularly appeared at the house of Raghav. Verse 81. Prema vasha gaura Prabhu yahan premottama prema vasha hena taha dena darshana. Lord Gaurasundar is greatly influenced by the love of his devotees. Therefore, wherever there is pure devotion to the Lord himself, subdued by such love, appears and his devotees see him. Verse 82. Shivanandera prema sima ke kahite pare yandra preme vasha prabhu aise bare bare. Influenced by the loving affairs of Shivananda Swasena, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came again and again. Therefore, who can estimate the limits of his love? Verse 83. Aita kailu gaurer avirbhav ihas yai shune jane Chaitanya prabhav. Thus I have described the appearance of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Anyone who hears about these incidents can understand the transcendental opulence of the Lord. Verse 84. Purushottame Prabhu Pashe Bhagwan Acharya Param Vaishnav Tenho Supandita Arya. At Jagannath Puri, in the association of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, lived Bhagwan Acharya, who was certainly a gentleman, a learned scholar, and a great devotee. Purport for a description of Bhagwan Acharya, one may refer to Adi Lila 10th chapter, verse 136. Verse 85. Sakhya Bhavakranta Chitta Gop Avatar Swarup Gosani Saha Sakhya Vyavahar. He was fully absorbed in thoughts of fraternal relationship with God. He was an incarnation of a cowherd boy, and thus his dealings with Swarup Damodar Goswami were very friendly. Verse 86. Ekanta Bhave Ascharya Chena Chaitanya Charan Madhye Madhye Prabhur Tenho Karena Nimantrana. He sought the shelter of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's lotus feet with full surrender. Sometimes he would invite the Lord to dine at his home. Verse 87. Ghare bhat kari karena vivid vyanjana ekale kosani lena karana bhojan. Bhagwan Acharya prepared varieties of rice and vegetables at home and brought the Lord there alone to eat. Purport: generally, those who invited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for dinner used to offer him the remnants of food that had first been offered to Lord Jagannath. Bhagwan Acharya, however, instead of giving him the remnants of Jagannath's food, prepared dinner at his home in Orissa Food offered to Lord Jagannath is called prasadi, and that which is not offered to Lord Jagannath is known as amani or ghar bhat, rice prepared at home. Verse 88, Tandra Pita Vishay Bada Shatanand Khan Vishaya Vimukha Acharya Vairagya Pradhana. Bhagwan Acharya's father, whose name was Shatanand Khan, was an expert statesman, whereas Bhagwan Acharya was not at all interested in the management of the state. Indeed, he was almost in the renounced order of life. Verse 89, Gopal Bhattacharya Nam Tandra Chota Bhai Kashite Vedanta Padi Gela Tandra Thani. Bhagwan Acharya's brother, whose name was Gopal Bhattacharya, had studied Vedanta philosophy at Banaras and had then returned to Bhagwan Acharya's home. Purport during those days and also at the present. Vedanta philosophy is understood through the commentary of Shankaracharya, which is known as Sharirik Bhashya. Thus it appears that Gopal Bhattacharya, the younger brother of Bhagwan Acharya, had studied Vedanta according to the way of Sharirik Bhashya, which expounds the Mayavad philosophy of the impersonalists. Verse 90, Acharya Tahare Prabhu Pade Milaila Antaryami Prabhu Chitte Sukha Na Paila. Bhagwan Acharya took his brother to meet Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, but the Lord, knowing that Gopal Bhattacharya was Mayavadi philosopher, could not get much happiness from meeting him. Verse 91, Acharya Sambandhe Bahye Kare Prityabhas Krishna Bhakti Vina Prabhura Na Hai Ullas. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu derives no happiness from meeting one who is not a pure devotee of Krishna. Thus, because Gopal Bhattacharya was a Mayavadi scholar, the Lord felt no jubilation in meeting him. Nevertheless, because Gopal Bhattacharya was related to Bhagwan Acharya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu feigned pleasure in seeing him. Verse 92, Swarup Gosani Re Acharya Kahe Ar Dine Vedanta Padiya Gopal Aisache Ekhane. Bhagwan Acharya said to Swarup Damodar, Gopal, my younger brother, has returned to my home having concluded his study of Vedanta Sutra. Verse 93, Sabe Meli Aisa Shuni Bhashya Ihar Sthane Prema Krodha Kari Swarup Balay Vachane. Bhagwan Acharya requested Swarup Damodar Goswami to hear from Gopal the commentary upon Vedanta. Swarup Damodar, however, somewhat angry because of love, spoke as follows. Verse 94, Buddhi Bhrashta Haila Tomar Gopale Rasange Mayavad Shunibare Upajila Range. You have lost your intelligence in the association of Gopal, and therefore you are eager to hear the Mayavad philosophy. Verse 95, Vaishnav Hena Siyeba Sharirak Bhashya Shune Sevya Sevak Bhava Chadi Apanare Ishwar Mane. When a Vaishnav listens to the Sharirik Bhashya, the Mayavad commentary upon the Vedanta Sutra, he gives up the Krishna conscious attitude that the Lord is the master and the living entity is his servant. Instead, he considers himself the supreme Lord. Purport, the philosophers known as Kevala Advaita Vadis generally occupy themselves with the hearing of Sharirak Bhashya, a commentary by Shankaracharya, advocating that one impersonally considers oneself the Supreme Lord. Such Mayavadi philosophical commentaries upon the Vedanta Sutra are simply imaginary, but there are other commentaries on the Vedanta Sutra. The commentary by Srila Ramanujacharya, known as Sri Bhashya, establishes the Vishishtadvaitavad philosophy. Similarly, in the Brahma Sampradaya, Madhvacharya's Purna Prajna Bhashya established Shuddha Dvaitavad. In the Kumar Sampradaya or Nimbark Sampradaya, Sri Nimbark establishes the philosophy of Dvaita Advaitavad and the Parijat Saurabh Bhashya, and in the Vishnu Swami Sampradaya or Rudra Sampradaya, which comes from Lord Shiva, Vishnu Swami has written a commentary called Sarva Ajna Bhasya, which established Shuddha Advaitavad. A Vaishnav should study the commentaries on the Vedanta Sutra written by the four Sampradaya Acharyas, namely Sri Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya, Vishnu Swami, and Nimbark. For these commentaries are based on the philosophy that the Lord is the master and that all living things are his eternal servants. One interested in studying Vedanta philosophy properly must study these commentaries, especially if he is a Vaishnava. These commentaries are always adored by Vaishnavas. The commentary by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati is elaborately given in the Adi Lila chapter 7, text 101. The Mayavad commentary Sharirik Bhashya is like poison for a Vaishnava. It should not be touched at all. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur remarks that even a Bhagavat or highly elevated devotee who has surrendered himself unto the lotus feet of Krishna sometimes falls down from pure devotional service. If he hears the Mayavad philosophy of the Sharirik Bhashya, this commentary should therefore be shunned by all the Vaishnavas. Verse 96, Bhagavad Ye Krishna Prana Dhana Yar Mayavad Shravane Chitta Avashya Vire Tandra. The Mayavad philosophy presents such a jugglery of words that even a highly elevated devotee who has accepted Krishna as his life and soul changes his decision when he reads the Mayavad commentary on the Vedanta Sutra. Verse 97, Acharya Kahe Ama Sabar Krishna Nishtha Chitte Ama Sabar Mana Bhashya Nare Viraite. In spite of Swarup Damodar's protest, Bhagwan Acharya continued, we are all fixed at the lotus feet of Krishna with our hearts and soul, therefore the Sharirak Bhashya cannot change our mind. Verse 98. Swarup kahe tathapi mayavad shravane chitta brahma maya mithya ei matre shune. Swarup Damodar replied, nevertheless, when we hear the Mayavad philosophy, we hear that Brahman is knowledge and that universe of Maya is false, but we gain no spiritual understanding. Verse 99. Jiva Jnana Kalpita Ishware Sakala I Ajnana Yahar Shravane Bhaktera Phate Mana Pran. The Mayavadi philosopher tries to establish that the living entity is only imaginary and that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is under the influence of Maya. Hearing this kind of commentary breaks the heart and life of a devotee. Purport Sri Swarup Damodar Goswami wanted to impress upon Bhagwan Acharya that even though some firmly fixed in devotion to Krishna's service might not be deviated by hearing the Mayavad Bhashya, the Bhashya is nevertheless full of impersonal words and ideas such as Brahman, which represent knowledge but which are impersonal. The Mayavadis say that the world created by Maya is false and that actually there is no living entity but only one spiritual effulgence. That further say that the God is imaginary, that people think of God only because of ignorance, and that when Supreme Absolute Truth is befooled by the external energy Maya, he becomes a jiva or living entity. Upon hearing all these nonsensical ideas from the non-devotee, a devotee is greatly afflicted as if his heart and soul were broken. Verse 100, Lajja Bhaya Pana Acharya Mona Haila Ar Dina Gopalere Deshe Pathaila. Thus Bhagwan Acharya, greatly ashamed and fearful, remained silent. The next day he asked Gopal Bhattacharya to return to his own district. Verse 101, Ek din Acharya Prabhure Kaila Nimantrana Ghare Bhat Kari Kare Vividh Vyanjana. One day Bhagwan Acharya invited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to dine at his home. Thus he was preparing rice and various types of vegetables. Verse 102, Chota Haridāsa Nama Prabhura Kirtaniya Tahare Kahina Acharya Dakiya Aniya. A devotee named Chota Haridāsa used to sing for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Bhagwan Acharya called him to his home and spoke as follows. Verse 103, Mora Name Shiki Mahitira Bhagini Sthane Giya Shukla Chola Ek Man Anha Magiya. Please go to the sister of Shiki Mahiti. In my name, ask her for a man of white rice and bring it here. Purport: in India, Shukla Chola, white rice, is also called Atap Chola, or rice that has not been boiled before being husked. Another kind of rice called Siddha Chola. Brown rice is boiled before being husked. They generally first class fine. White rice is required for offerings to the deity. Thus, Bhagwan Acharya asked Chota Haridāsa or Junior Haridāsa, a singer in the assembly of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, to get some of this rice from the sister of Shikhi Mahiti. A mana is a standard of measurement in Orissa for rice and other food grains. Verse 104. Mahitir Bhagini Sai Naam Madhavi Devi Vridha Tapaswini Ar Parama Vaishnavi. Shikhi Mahiti's sister was named Madhavi Devi. She was an elderly lady who always performed austerities. She was very advanced in devotional service. Verse 105. Prabhu Lekha Kare Yare Radhikar Gana Jagater Madhye Patra Sade Teen Jana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted her as having formerly been an associate of Srimati Radharani. In the entire world, 3.5 people were his intimate devotees. Verse 106. Swarup Gosani Ar Rai Ramananda Shikhi Mahiti Teen Tanra Bhagini Ardhajana. The three were Swarup Damodar Goswami, Ramanand Rai and Shikhi Mahiti, and the half a person was Shikhi Mahiti's sister. Verse 107. Tandra Thani Tandula Magi Anila Haridas Tandula Dekhi Acharyera Adik Ullas. After begging the rice from her, Junior Haridas brought it to Bhagwan Acharya, who was very pleased to see its quality. Verse 108. Sneha Randhila Prabhura Priya Yevan Vyanjana Devla Prasad Ada Chaki Lembu Salvana. In great affection, Bhagwan Acharya cooked varieties of vegetables and other preparations dear to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He also obtained remnants of food from Lord preparations to cook varieties of vegetables and other preparations dear to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He also obtained remnants of food from Lord Jagannath and digestive aids such as ground ginger and also lime with salt. Verse 109. Madhyane Asiya Prabhu Bhojane Vasila Shalyan Dekhi Prabhu Acharya Puchila. At noon, when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to eat the offerings of Bhagwan Acharya, he first appreciated the fine rice and therefore questioned him. Verse 110. Uttama Anna Eta Tandula Kanhate Paila Acharya Kahe Madhavi Pasha Magiya Anila. Where did you get such fine rice? The Lord asked. Bhagwan Acharya replied, I got it by begging from the Madhavi Devi. Verse 111. Prabhu kahe kaun yaye magiya anila chota Haridāsa naam Acharya kahila. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked who had begged the rice and brought it back, Bhagwan Acharya mentioned the name of Junior Haridāsa Thakur. Haridāsa. Verse 112. Anna Prashamsiya Prabhu Bhojana Karila Nijya Gaye Ashi Govindere Agya Dila. Praising the quality of the rice, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu partook of the prasadam. Then, after returning to his residence, he gave the following order to Govinda, his personal associate. Praising the quality of rice, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu partook. I think I read the verse. Anna Prashamsiya Prabhu Bhojan Karila Nijar Grihe Asi Ashi Govindera Agya Chila. Dila. Praising the quality of rice, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu partook of the prasadam. Then, after returning to his residence, he gave the following order to Govinda, his personal assistant. Verse 113. Aji Haite e mora agya paliba chota Haridāsa ihan asite nadiba From the day forward, do not allow Chota Haridāsa to come here. Verse 114, Dwar man haila Haridāsa dukhi haila mane ki lagiya dwar mana keha. When Junior Haridāsa heard that he had been ordered not to approach Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was very unhappy. No one could understand why he had been ordered not to come. Verse 115, Teen din haila Haridāsa kare upvas Swrupadi asi puchila Mahaprabhu rapash. Haridāsa fasted continuously for 3 days. When Swarup Damodar Goswami and other confidential devotees approached Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to inquire from him. Verse 116, Kaun aparadh Prabhu kaila Haridāsa ki lagiya dwara mana kare upvas. What great offense has Junior Haridāsa committed? Why has he been forbidden to come to your door? He has now been fasting for 3 days. Verse 117, Prabhu kahe vairagi kare prakriti sambhashana dekhite na paron ami tahar vadana. The Lord replied, I cannot tolerate seeing the face of a person who has accepted the renounced order of life, but who still talks intimately with a woman. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur comments that saralata or simplicity is the first qualification of a Vaishnava, whereas duplicity or cunning behavior is a great offense against the principles of devotional service. As one advances in Krishna consciousness, one must gradually become disgusted with material attachments, and as one advances in Krishna consciousness, one must gradually become disgusted with material attachment and thus become more and more attached to the service of the Lord. If one is As one advances in Krishna consciousness, one must gradually become disgusted with material attachments and thus become more and more attached to the service of the Lord. If one is not factually detached from the material activities but still proclaims himself advanced in devotional service, he is cheating. No one will be happy with behavior. Verse. So we'll continue our reading from verse 118 next time. Thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.